So I reviewed Fever Pitch back in 2021, right on baseball's opening day or right before opening day. And I had said in that video, in that review, that every year I wanted to do more baseball content or talk about a baseball movie. And the past 4 years, 2022 to now, that just hasn't been the case. But I do want to talk about this. This is the Clubhouse, A Year with the Red Sox on Netflix. And I don't want to talk about it necessarily just because it's about my favorite team and I have to relive the horrid year last year that started off with a lot of warning signs, then got really good, and then just fizzled at the end. But I do want to fill this channel a bit with some baseball content. And whether that comes in the form of talking about documentaries like this or baseball movies like today. I'm recording this on Jackie Robinson Day, April 15th. I could have talked about 42 today and uploaded a review for 42 today. I won't do that today, unfortunately. I love 42. I just didn't have the time to rewatch that. And I had been saying to myself for so long, you got to watch a baseball movie. This year, to have ready for opening day or sometime near opening day, maybe around the All-Star break, I'll talk about a baseball movie to make up for the past couple and right before the playoffs start and right before the World Series start. Maybe I'll talk some more baseball movies before all of that stuff starts, just to make up for the past couple years. But my 2025 content is going to be the Clubhouse, A Year with the Red Sox. And why I'm bringing this up, other than talking about my favorite team, as I said before, is that I want to fill this channel with more baseball content, but mostly because I want people to understand that sports heroes aren't just heroes. We build them up to be gods, like immortal beings, when they're actually just human beings. They're like you and me. It is interesting that there are only a few players that participate in this whole documentary. This is essentially a documentary that chronicles the entirety of the 2023-24 offseason going into 2024 spring training, the entire 2024 season. The Netflix cameras were there all of last year. I remember watching the games last year and seeing the Netflix cameras around Fenway Park and when the team was on the road. And I was actually kind of concerned at the end when the Sox faded out at the end of the year that maybe that was why they fizzled out, because they were under the pressure of competing in front of Netflix cameras. And of course, when you play 162 games, you're competing to get to the World Series and win the World Series, but the Netflix cameras are rolling. So I felt like that there was so much pressure last year on a young team, and maybe they felt that because there are some players in here that don't have anything to do with this documentary that were on the team last year that are now elsewhere. Like Nick Pivetta had nothing to do with this documentary, and there's rumors that he hated being around the Netflix cameras. He didn't even want to show his face on the Netflix cameras. Kenley Jansen, you can tell, had wanted nothing to do with this or Boston whatsoever. This is really the Brian Bayo, Jaron Duran, Tristan Casas, Cam Boozer, and Alex Cora show, and Tyler O'Neill show. And it definitely offers a lot of insight what players' lives are like on the road, what players' lives are like away from their families, how they deal with their families on the road, and how their families deal with the fact that, hey, like my husband is a baseball player who is gone for 162 games a year. And I just had a new baby that was born yesterday. What the fuck do I do? It's stuff like that. And I think the most powerful episode for me, though, was episode 4 called Still Alive, all about Jaron Duran. Jaron Duran, I think, was very reviled for a little bit in Boston when he came up in 2021 and especially 2022, because 2021, I thought that was essentially his tryout for the big league team. And then injuries happened in 2022 where he had to come up, but he didn't prove himself either year. He didn't make the necessary adjustments, and he was getting heckled by fans, and he was thinking very low of himself. He always had like this low confidence in him. He says his father pushed him really hard when he was young. It was very much tough love, and there was a point where he's like, "Yeah, my mental health broke me. I literally sat with a rifle, pulled the trigger, and it didn't go off." That's why I think we really have to look at things like this. Star sports players they're not just stars, like they're actual human beings. They have things that bother them, things that weigh them down, like Jaron Duran trying to commit suicide and rebounding and having his career year last year and being one of the best players in all of baseball. You also deal with things like Brian Bayo trying to get his family over from the Dominican Republic to the United States, but their visas aren't certified. And maybe that's affecting how he's pitching. He's really worried about not being able to see his family. It's things like that that this documentary offers insight into. And I just think that it feels very rich and realistic in ways that it portrays how baseball players and sports stars in particular deal with real life situations. Tyler O'Neill, who is not on the team anymore, he had quite a bit of spotlight in this documentary as well. This is an 8-part documentary. There's episodes where he has his family in Seattle for 2024 opening day. They knew how to deal with it. It was insane. It was like they had like voodoo magic or something, and they just knew how to deal with it. He had a recently newborn daughter who was about I think, I don't know, 9 months, I think they said, maybe a year. His wife was like, yep, this is Tyler's life. Like, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, I understand that baseball players are gone for a majority of the year, but that's just the realistic situation. And when he can, he sees us and he does everything he can to help out. And I don't think people realize that these people have lives outside of baseball. I think when we look at sports stars, when you take somebody like Shaquille O'Neal, it's like, oh, Shaquille O'Neal was just basketball was his life, or Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Basketball was his life. Tom Brady had football as his life. David Ortiz, baseball was his life. Or Alex Ovechkin, hockey is his entire life. But we just tend to block out everything else that we think about and just think, okay, when you think David Ortiz, you think baseball. You don't think about like the charities that he works with. You don't think about all the sponsorships that he has, like the stuff that people have to deal with on an everyday basis. Jaron Duran with his mental health that we don't realize are things that are happening behind the curtains. And I think that this Netflix documentary actually really gave quite a bit of good insight into that. And even in front office roles, like Craig Breslow trying to position the team for the present and the future, trying not to set the entire organization back. And that's what I really like. I like getting insight into inside baseball or inside sports. You'll hear the term inside baseball a lot. And that's what they're talking about, like just the behind the scenes stuff that we're not really aware about. What I did think brought this down a little bit is I'm saying this because I've never really been a fan of him, but Tristan Casas tries to steal as much spotlight as he can. He wants to be the star of attention. He wants to be a big showboat. He tries to do everything to show that, hey, look, I'm part of this team. Like, I want to be the face of this team. That's essentially what he's trying to say. This proved to me my already preconceived notions, and I could be totally wrong. And I know people who probably like this baseball player or love this baseball player are going to come at me and be like, well, you just don't understand him. Look, I'm fine with athletes being quirky and weird. We're all quirky and weird. Good. Embrace it. I don't care if he's doing shirtless yoga in the outfield or painting his goddamn fingernails. I don't care. Just perform. That's your personal stuff. Cool. Just perform on the baseball diamond. And last year, I mean, this proved to me that he's just so full of himself that he thinks that he's essentially better than a lot of players and better than what he's worth. And it's no reason why he hasn't gotten a contract extension yet, because he wants Vladimir Guerrero Jr. money, and he's not going to get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. money. I'm surprised that he's even thinking, he's probably thinking he's going to get Juan Soto money. He's not getting it. Every time I cut back to him, I was just like, do I really have to watch him explain stuff? Like, living in a hotel, I get it. But he's like, but living in a hotel because he doesn't want to deal with being an adult, okay, that's kind of where I draw the line. It's like you got to grow up a little bit, buddy, okay? I think my biggest issue with this though is that this also just felt like, hey, We're going to do what the Yankees have been doing for the past decade. We're going to care more about the brand than the actual product on the field. And that's what it felt like. It felt like it was just John Henry, the owners of the Red Sox, trying to keep the team relevant as they've been in a decline since 2018. 2018 was like the last time they spent money. They haven't really spent all that much money. They've given out like 2 or 3 big contracts. None of them have really worked since then. So John Henry scaled back on the spending for big star players. And when they try to go after at least mid-tier players that could impact the team, they sign elsewhere because they're like, no, you guys have sucked for the past like 3 years. You could tell that this was a desperation attempt to make the team relevant again, to try and be like, well, we finished in last 5 of the last 6 years, but here's this little thing. And we might make the playoffs in 2024. We might not, but we'll see how it goes. We'll do everything we can. And hopefully they do everything they can this year because they threw a lot of eggs in the basket, spent a lot of money, put a lot of money up and traded some prospects, and they're still not playing all that good this year. So that had that looming over it as well, that the team needed to have the relevancy to it. But I did enjoy listening to players like Jaron Duran and Brian Bayo and Tyler O'Neill discuss personal matters off the field, and Alex Cora, the manager, discussing behind baseball stuff that we don't really know about. It's just a couple of annoyances here with one other player, and just making it feel like this was an attempt at desperation to keep the team relevant because nobody in New England cares right now. You need to get back to the playoffs before people care. But I do suggest watching this, even if you're not a baseball fan or a Red Sox fan, just to see that these players are not just baseball players. They're not just athletes. They are actual human beings that deal with problems and situations that everyday humans deal with. I think that was my biggest takeaway from it. So if you have seen the Clubhouse, A Year with the Red Sox, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.